Yo, have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, college football edition. Today, we are finally going to be previewing the OSU versus Clemson game that we've been looking forward to all year. We have the captain, Byron Mitchell, with us. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good.
And today on the College Football Pod, we have a special guest besides me and Byron. We have the producer, Justin Akindale, with us today to talk OSU Clemson. How you doing today, man?
Man, it's a good week. It's a big week in the football world, so I couldn't just keep my mouth shut about college this week. Not this week.
I hear you, man. So, like we said, we're going to be previewing OSU versus Clemson. We're really going to dive into this, the matchups, the coaches. Obviously, we're going to talk some Dabo. But before we do that, just
clown.
A little thing. We made it. Obviously, we won the Big Ten championship game. We didn't get to talk about that for a little bit. So we did win that, as me and Byron said. We did end up third, as me and Byron said. And we're playing Clemson as we predicted. And Alabama will be playing Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, which will be held in Texas because California is not letting them play football over there. So that just a little tidbit there. But let's get into it. Byron, our first football podcast, we said we wanted this game all year. It's the game we wanted, and we finally have it. The game is January 1st, 8 p.m., Mercedes-Benz Superdome on ESPN and on radio 97.1 The Fan. Now that we finally have it, how are you feeling?
I am excited. As we've stated before, this is the game that we've wanted all year since our not embarrassing loss, but disappointing loss to them last year. So I'm excited, but I'm also nervous at the same time because we have never beat Clemson, and this is a game that we must win.
And just to go on that, OSU is making their fourth college football playoff appearance, and we are playing Clemson, who's making their sixth college football playoff appearance. We're tied for third with CFP appearances with Oklahoma, and only Alabama and Clemson are the only two teams who have more appearances than us. And OSU is the only school to appear in a New Year's Six bowl game in all 7 years of this current postseason format. So, Justin, when you see this OSU Clemson rematch, now that's finally happened, what are your first initial thoughts on this?
My first initial thoughts is a heavyweight matchup. All the OSU fans that I live around and who I'm friends with, this is all they've been talking about since the season ended. So it's a big game for the OSU Buckeye faithful. I don't know how seriously Clemson's taking it, but I know in Columbus, Ohio, it's a real big game, and they're looking for revenge. I know that.
Facts. And Byron's already alluded to that. OSU and Clemson have only played 4 times and have all been bowl games. And Clemson is 4-0 against Ohio State. They beat them in the Fiesta Bowl last year. And in 2016, Clemson beat Ohio State 31-0 in the Orange. And then in 2014, Clemson beat Ohio State 40-35. And then December 29th, 1978, Clemson beat Ohio State 17-15, which is infamous because that was Woody Hayes' last game as an OSU coach, as he punched the Clemson player in the throat. So when we go tit for tat, one of the biggest things in this rivalry now, I don't know if I want to call it a rivalry because we've never beat Clemson, but Dabo Swinney. And I'll just let any of y'all can answer this. You've seen the comments that he said that he ranked Ohio State 11th. He doesn't believe that since they played 6 games, they should be there. Do you guys agree with Dabo, or do you just think he's just putting hot air out there?
I'll take this one first, Byron. He does have a point about the 6 games. I mean, none of OSU's fault by any means. You guys have went in depth about how, Kevin Warren is, fucked up as Big Ten commissioner and all that good stuff. But I just never seen the coach, a football coach in general, talk so much shit. I mean, like, you talk about bulletin board material. I mean, shit, he's just giving Ohio State shit to motivate them every time he opens his damn mouth. I mean, I ain't never seen anything like it.
I mean, I see where he's coming from, that, the 3 out of 4 top teams have played 13 or more games. But like I said, it's not our fault. If we had it our way, we would have started when everyone else started. Kevin Warren wanted to do what Kevin Warren wanted to do. So I don't think he should be ragging on us that we only played 6 games when A, it wasn't our fault, and B, some of our teammates got COVID during a pandemic year. So I don't know how you fault a team for playing as many games as they can when they've had COVID outbreak.
Yeah, and I've listened to his interview with Tom Rinaldi actually when I was getting ready for this to re-listen to it. He talked about how it's not Ohio State. It's just because it's the team that played 6 games. He said he would have said the same thing if it was any other team. But since it was just Ohio State, he said this is going to be bulletin material. And he straight up said he doesn't care. He's standing by what he said. He said he doesn't have to be politically correct. Sometimes it's harder to be the right person. And he thinks he's right on this notion. And Dabo's been talking about Ohio State all year. If you remember during the summertime where we weren't going to have football in the Big Ten, Dabo said, that's all right. Who needs the Big Ten? Who needs Ohio State? There have been plenty of champions outside of the Big Ten, which is true. But from a revenue standpoint, you need the Big Ten in there. So he's been talking about OSU all year. So to finally get to this point, it's crazy. I was listening to Clemson radio, actually, and the reporter for Clemson straight up said they're not worried. Like, they're more lax. They're more chill. It's not that big a deal over there because they've already beaten Ohio State multiple times in this era, and they just feel like they can do it again. So I just want to go over some of these stats with y'all because I know when me and Justin do NFL, we go over some stats. So currently right now, OSU is ranked fifth nationally in total offense with 529 yards a game, while Clemson's ranked 10th with 507. Clemson is 6th in total defense at 298, while Ohio State is 34th at 358. Clemson's 3rd in scoring with 44 points a game, and OSU is 7th at 42 a game. And Clemson is 11th in scoring defense at 17.5, while OSU is 25th at 21. Justin, you're an NFL stat man, so now this is college. Do you think this is an even matchup? Or I think, to me personally, that defensive stat's really glaring.
Yeah, defensive stat gives me a little cause for pause a little bit, but these are 2 elite programs. They both got 5-star recruits all over the board. So when you really think about it, it's a heavyweight matchup. It's 1v1. I don't think the stats are going to mean too much, but yeah, that defensive stat for Ohio State's a little concerning. But I think we're going to get a good matchup because they're pretty evenly matched teams. If you ask me, you got 2 top 5 quarterback picks. Running backs are going to go to the NFL. Receivers are going to go to the NFL. So I think it's a pretty even matchup. Throw out the stats if you ask me.
Byron, what do you think when you heard those stats?
I think, like Justin said, I think the defensive stat is probably the most glaring, only because watching the games, I know how we have given up deep passes against Indiana before. So that's like what I'm worried about. But I think we can go toe-to-toe with Clemson, especially offensively. So I think it might come down to who has a better defense in the end.
Okay. Now, Justin, you brought up the quarterbacks, and I just want to circle to these quarterbacks because I feel like this game is omega important, more important to Justin Fields. The reason being, for some people who don't know and don't follow the sport all willy-nilly like that, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence only lived 20 miles from each other when they were growing up in Georgia. And they were both the top two quarterbacks in the class of 2018. And they've spent their whole high school careers being compared to each other. And Lawrence was always mentioned first. And he's the one who's won their only head-to-head matchup against each other. As we know, Lawrence, when he came in as a true freshman after 4 games, he started, led Clemson to a championship game. Justin Fields went to Georgia, didn't replace Jake Fromm. That's Kirby Smart. That's why Georgia's what they are. And he transferred to Ohio State. And Justin Fields' only loss as a starter is to Clemson. And these are supposedly the top 2 picks in the draft. And for Justin, you got to think he's tired of being second place to this guy from a standpoint, right, Justin? Like from a pride standpoint, you get tired of being second place to the same dude your whole life.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they been playing each other and been around each other since high school. So yeah, Justin Fields is definitely sick of that stuff. I played high school football too, and they compare you to the people around the area. So yeah, that's definitely added motivation for Justin Fields. And I've been listening to the sports media, and people have been saying, yeah, Justin Fields had a couple bad games, and Ohio State quarterbacks don't make it in the NFL. We see Dwayne Haskins this week.
Oh, we'll talk about it later in a different pod.
Yeah, so I just think that narrative is going to motivate Justin Fields just a little bit more than Trevor Lawrence in this game specifically.
Byron, what about you? Did you know that those two live 20 miles from each other?
I did not know that, but this definitely is a pride thing if you've never beaten him, especially on that one-on-one game last year. So I think he does have an extra motivation in this game. He actually did come out earlier this week and say he's actually never been practiced harder than he has for this game than any game in his life. And actually one of the reasons he did come back this year was to get that national championship. So I think that he does have that extra chip on his shoulder that Trevor Lawrence doesn't have.
Agreed. And Justin, you did say something with Dwayne, and not to just talk about him, but from the standpoint that with the OSU quarterbacks not doing good in the NFL, if Justin has a bad game again this year against Clemson, he didn't have a bad game last year. He just threw that pick. And then he goes to the NFL and doesn't do well. Not this 2 recruiting classes, but the ones after that, that's going to hurt OSU in getting quarterbacks because quarterbacks want to go to the league. And if our quarterbacks are going to the league and stinking it up, we're doing something wrong and producing. I'm not saying we are, but that's the narrative that's going to start going out after the Dwayne debacle, just to hit on that point that you said. But obviously, whoever wins is going to the national championship game. Let's just say they're going to play Alabama. There's a reason Alabama's game's on at 5 p.m. because it's the lead into the OSU Clemson game because that game's going to be over by probably 5:45.
20.5 point favorites, Alabama is.
Wow.
And then I've already looked up the things. If Ohio State wins, they're a 10-point underdog against Alabama right now. 10 points.
No, they're not.
Whose program do you think needs this win more? Does Dabo need it more? Does Ryan Day? I know what we think in Columbus, but objectively, who do you think needs it more?
I think Ohio State needs it more. They haven't won a national championship in the past 5 years, and Clemson has. So when you just put it that way, I would say Ohio State needs this game more. Clemson, they've been the last, 3 straight national championship games, something like that. So, yeah. Ohio State definitely needs this more. They definitely want more. They haven't been there in a while, haven't played in the national championship game in a while. So I definitely think Ohio State's going to be the hungrier team. And I definitely think they need it more. Without a doubt.
Byron?
Yeah, I agree. I think Ohio State needs it more. Like Justin said, Clemson's been winning it the last, 2 out of 3 years. And Ryan Day will, if we get to the national championship, this will be his first national championship. So I think for his legacy, he needs it more than Dabo does. So I definitely think Ohio State needs this more objectively than Clemson does.
Yeah, Dabo's a made man already. He already has his national championships. He literally brought Clemson from the dead because, before Babel got there, Clemson wasn't shit. So I did rip him earlier, but he is a good coach. He's doing something right down there. So I definitely think Ohio State needs more. Ryan Day took over after Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer already has his legacy cemented at Ohio State. So yeah, Ryan Day needs this more than Dabo.
I will say what Clemson does better than any other school in the country is they don't lose assistants. They pay their assistants good money and they all stay. So that continuity with the coaching staff, I think, has really helped Clemson, especially that defensive coordinator who Ryan Day came out and basically said that dude steals signs. So I know Clemson will use that as motivation as well.
They all cheating.
Yeah, they all are. But just, what do you think the keys to the game are? Like, what are your keys to the game for an Ohio State victory? What do they have to do?
My keys to the game are defensively, need to stop ETN, stop the run. Just make sure that's not a concern. Make sure Clemson's one-dimensional, and don't let Trevor Lawrence get to running, because once he starts running, then that's when he's the number one pick in the draft. So if Ohio State can do that, and they can move the ball offensively, give the ball to Trey Sermon like they did against Northwestern, I think we're going to get the game that we've been hoping for since spring.
Byron, what are your keys to the game?
For me, defensively, is not letting them get deep passes. Again, back to that Indiana game, our cornerbacks look bad against the deep pass. So I think if we can contain them defensively on the deep pass, I think we'll have a good shot. And again, our running game is not our running game, but our run defense is pretty good. So if we can stop ATN, keep them one-dimensional to short passes, I think we can win. And then offensively, Justin Fields needs to have a good game, not a game against like he had against Indiana or Northwestern. If he has a good game, I think that would be key in helping us win as well.
Yeah, I think offensively, since you ended offense, I'll start there. I think a step further, Justin Fields has to have the best game of his life to win this game, just because I don't think our defense can hold Clemson. So Justin Fields has to be really ready to go tit for tat with Clemson's offense. I think Chris Olave, hopefully he is back playing Saturday, because that would be great with him and Wilson. We got to keep feeding it to Trey Sermon. One of the best old school strategies to beat top quarterbacks is to keep them off the field. And if Trey Sermon can get loose like he was against Northwestern, that's going to be a good key for us to win the game. And then defensively, I'm going to be looking at Shaun Wade. He was the one who got ejected because of the bogus targeting. He's the one who has been getting cooked by the top receivers that we've played. He's the one who just became an All-American, which I don't know how, but it is what it is. So I'm going to be looking at him. Yeah, I really want a big game from him. I don't want him getting burned. I mean, his draft stock's on the line too. He hasn't proven that he could be that next top corner from Ohio State. He's going to be a top pick, but is he going to be a top 3 pick like Chris Okuda? Probably not. So I'm expecting a big game from him. I want to see if we can get pressure with just 4 on Trevor Lawrence, we can win this game. If we have to blitz every down, he's just going to tear us apart.
Can't blitz Trevor Lawrence. You won't win that way. Can't blitz him. Just run. You just either throw it behind the blitz or not get sacked and get loose on the blitz. So you gotta get pressure with 4. That is definitely key to the game.
Yeah, and then the biggest thing from last year's game is that we were getting in the red zone almost every possession, but we weren't getting touchdowns. We were getting field goals, which allowed Clemson to get back in the game because we were up 17 before all the bad things happened. So we get in the red zone, we got to score touchdowns. No field goals. I don't even care if we go for it on 4th, and we need to get touchdowns because last year's field goal stuff didn't work out for us. That's what we need to do going forward. In this game, it's Friday, New Year's Day. Byron, do you have a score? What do you think the score is going to be?
I think it's going to be really close like it was last year. I think last year was 29-23 Clemson.
Yes.
I think it'll be a 1-score game. I'm going to say 35-28 Ohio State.
35-28. Justin, do you have a score?
Yeah, I do have a score. I think I did talk about defense earlier, but I don't think too much defense is honestly going to be played with these two quarterbacks playing. So I'm looking at a 35-32 game, Ohio State.
Okay.
But really, you can go either way, but let's go, Buckeyes.
Okay. Yeah, I like your score, Justin. I think it's going to be 30s, but I'm going to go 31-30 OSU, game-winning field goal at the end to win the game. And this game is huge for the program because there was a point in the early 2000s where the thing was Ohio State was really good, but they couldn't beat an SEC team. And that was the thing. We couldn't compete with the speed. And we finally competed with speed, beat an SEC team. And then that was out. Now the new thing is, Ohio State's one of those top 3 programs in the country, but it's Clemson and Alabama at the top, and then we're a couple of notches down. I think we need to win this game to prove that we're on that notch because they're already talking about the Clemson-Alabama rematch like we're not playing. So it'd be a defining win for the program if they win, and they need to win or we're just going to be seen as that third wheel on the top conference and the top programs of the country. And then,
and if we don't win, Dabo's going to talk extra shit.
Oh my! Yeah.
And I don't want that.
I don't either because that post game. Because Dabo, to be honest, if we lose, Dabo's going to talk. Texas A&M Twitter's going to talk. Georgia Twitter's going to talk. Anyone who got left out and they were mad that we only played 6, they are going to attack. And they've been attacking all year. It's literally been Ohio State versus the whole country. But it'd be
Ohio
so bad.
Against the world.
I can't. You'd have to turn off Twitter if you're a Buckeye fan because you'd have nothing to say.
Man, I still am amazed at Dabo's shit talk though. Like for a man who has won as many games and won his national titles as this man has, he still has to go through that bag of talking shit. I don't ever see Nick Saban talking shit. I never saw Urban Meyer talking shit. Like back to what I said earlier. Who does this man think he is? Like
Justin Dabo.
If that's his way to get his players fired up or something, like. Only thing I see is him pissing off everyone else in college football every time he opens his mouth. If you ask me,
that is what Dabo does when he's winning. He's like, "Oh, we weren't even supposed to be here." That's what he does. Look at the tape. And when they lose, they're like, "Oh well, this happened. This happened." It's crazy because a couple of years ago, he's like, "Oh, I don't think we had a competitive advantage that our conference is weaker than the SEC, and they play Alabama does that." But when it comes to us. Bro, he just flips it, man. That's what he does. He tries to sound like a preacher, and he just talks and puts his foot in his mouth, and he doesn't care. And the thing is, his players don't care. They play for him. That's the problem. They don't
He's
care.
definitely a hypocrite because I read somewhere earlier in the year, he's like, it's crazy. Like, it doesn't matter how many games you play during this pandemic year now that we've only played 6 games. He's flipped the script and said, "Oh well, they shouldn't be in because they've only played 6 games." Like, bro, make up your mind.
He uses the narrative to fit himself. You even saw him at the end of the ACC championship game had said that, "Man, it'd be a real disgrace to the Heisman if they don't have Trevor's name on it. He don't need you. You need him." I'm like, what?
He missed the game. He didn't play all the fucking games. What do you mean he ain't going to be the Heisman? He ain't playing all the damn games. Isn't that a requirement? I mean, shit, it's a shortened season. You're going to plug all your players for everything. God damn, I don't ever see Nick Saban doing that. And his players win everything.
Justin, but it's a shortened season. But when it applies to his people, he doesn't care. Can you imagine if Justin Fields was in the Heisman race? He would have flipped shit.
Like you gotta imagine this shit is a COVID year. Like shit's been fucked up all year, and it just amazed me. Like some of these coaches just politicking for themselves, and just it's sickening. It's like politics almost. Jesus.
Yeah.
He really said the Heisman would be ashamed if they didn't have Trevor Lawrence's name on it. I'm like, bro, what? Trevor Lawrence, anyone who wins the Heisman, you can go be a bust in the NFL and you're still set for life.
Yeah, you're still going to be in those Nissan Heisman commercials. You're a college football legend when you win that shit.
And he said,
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So I'm assuming then, Justin, you're not picking Trevor Lawrence to win the Heisman. If you do, you're going to riot.
Yeah, no. Of course he shouldn't be the Heisman winner.
To be honest,
he doesn't have the best stats. I looked at the passing yards before we got on. Kyle Trask got the most passing yards. We talking about quarterbacks.
To be honest, I don't even think it should be the quarterbacks who win.
Yeah, I think it should be. I think it should be Devontae Smith. He's been going off since Waddle got hurt.
I actually think it should be the Heisman winner. I really do. I know he just won the AP whatever best player.
Yeah, AP Player of the Year.
I think he should win the Heisman. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, they lost it. Jalen Waddle was their receiver who got hurt. He's a first round pick too.
Mm-hmm.
He's a first round pick too, and he gets hurt. And Alabama didn't miss a beat. And he got probably all the targets that Waddle got, but shit, it helps out. He got 1,500 yards receiving.
Jimbo Fisher talked about that too. He's like, the only game we lost to was Alabama, and that was a real Alabama. Y'all remember Waddle? We had to play against him. Y'all didn't have to play against him, and he was using that to try and get in. I'm like, bro, who are you getting in over? You lost by 30. But man, Justin, you're right. Dabo, this is different. I've never seen a coach's poll get publicized like this. I've never seen a coach go on ESPN and defend it. And he's talking on to all the people and Feinbaum and all of them. And it's wild, man. And he shouldn't even be afraid. Like, I don't know what he's doing.
He's beat us the last, couple times he played us?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why he's talking this so much shit. I mean, he's the same coach who said, oh, if Clemson loses to Notre Dame, we should still get in with 2 losses. Like, bro, what?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot he said that, Brian. That is some shit. You lose to Notre Dame twice, well, we should still get in. I mean, Trevor Lawrence ain't play. I mean, he's the best quarterback who ever touched the face of this earth.
Well, he also, remember, this is also the same guy who said Deshaun Watson was the Michael Jordan of college football. I said, Now, I said, damn, bro, the Michael Jordan? But,
I mean,
he's sweet. I mean, he did take Alabama for that first championship for Dabo. So,
that's true.
I don't know. And so, just in other college football news coming down the pipe from that team up north, Harbaugh is actually getting an extension. I think it's a done deal today.
Good for them. I mean, like, what do you expect from the man who hasn't beaten his rival yet? Ohio State, Michigan State's beat once. I mean, sure, Michigan.
Justin, I'll ask you, Justin, what would you have done with Jim Harbaugh? Would you have got rid of him by now?
I wouldn't have got rid of him. Who the fuck am I going to get?
You can go get
y'all remember Michigan before he got there. Shit, they weren't beating Ohio State, but they weren't beating anyone. They weren't beating any goddamn person before him. So until I know if there's someone on the market that I know is better than him, I'll stick with Harbaugh until he gets sick of Michigan and goes to the NFL. I mean, who would they get? Like, who's the candidate out there that's going to turn Michigan around? Like,
well, there's
they get Urban Meyer, which I know he won't do that. So,
but you don't have to go big name. I'm just telling you, go down to Indiana, bring the Brinks truck to Tom Allen, get the Indiana coach. Okay. Look what he did to Indiana. If it wasn't for if it wasn't for the debacle of the Big Ten rules and all that, Indiana would be in the Big Ten championship game. And they would have won. They would have beaten Bro, they have Michael Penix. They would have beat Northwestern, too.
Think Brian Kelly will ever lead Notre Dame from UM?
Is UM a better job than Notre Dame?
That's a good question.
Remember, he brought Cincinnati up. People forget Brian Kelly put Cincinnati on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Michigan and Notre Dame will have the same problems, but Notre Dame also has their own TV network. They don't got split it in the Big Ten, so I think that might be a little better.
And Brian Kelly has taken Notre Dame to a national championship game in the BCS era and 2 college football playoff appearances. If Michigan had that success, he'd have a statue. He would.
No, he wouldn't. Bo Schembler won national championships. That's the only statue outside of Michigan. Their standards used to be high. But
it's not anymore. It's
the
not
standards
anymore.
the standards used to be high, but I don't know what the hell's wrong with Michigan. I mean, the one game I went to was 18. Wasn't that the year they were supposed to beat Ohio State? Wasn't that the year that
Yep. That
was the revenge tour?
Yep. Hold on. Before you even go, Justin, the week before that game, we had to stop Maryland on a 2-point conversion to win the game 51-50.
Yeah, I remember that game, and I was at the Michigan game that year, and I was geeked out. It was my first OSU Michigan game. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm about to see a fucking game. We left that bitch at the beginning of the third quarter because the game was over. We were having more fun at the bar than watching that shit show of a game. Michigan, like, where's the pride at this point? Like, it's like they come into the game and they're just completely overmatched every single time. They have no answer for anything. It's just.
Well, 2016 was their best shot. They were the number 3 team in the country, and that was the Curtis Samuel walk-off in double OT.
Such a great game. I was there.
I mean, that's the one where Harbaugh complained about how we didn't get it on 4th and inches, and we got it. And ever since then, that was the closest game we've ever had with Michigan with the Harbaugh era. And ever since then, it's just been blowouts. And I guess it's almost the same thing like Clemson. I mean, in Ohio State, we care about the shit more. It is what it is.
It's an SEC team in the Midwest. I've been saying that.
It is.
They care, like, real OSU fans. I'm not an OSU fan. I'm an Ohio State supporter. But the real OSU fans, they are as delusional as ever, and they take that shit seriously. It's fucking religion to them.
Oh,
just like it is in the South. It's a holiday.
Yeah.
Every Saturday at 12 p.m. It's a fucking holiday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
You get up early. You either do your shopping early or you try and sneak it in at halftime because no one will be at the stores.
You go Kroger at 12 p.m. noon on Saturday in Columbus, empty.
No one. And I've worked those Saturdays with Kroger. No, not a soul. But as soon as that game's over, flock. Like it's different here. I mean, I agree with your statement. It is different in Columbus, Ohio, when it comes to this team. And if they lose on Friday, it's going to be it's going to be a hard new year.
We're bringing out the hammers if they lose.
Right. Yeah. If this wasn't a COVID year and we won, this town would go crazy.
Oh, burn the city down. I'll drive up just for that.
It might still burn the city down if they beat Clemson. Oh, that was the thing I wanted to bring up. Because they're playing, and there's going to be fans there. Do you think that's going to matter in this game? Because OSU hasn't played really in front of fans all like that, and Clemson has. So I don't know how much crowd noise is going to be there, but do you think that matters?
Where's the game at again?
That's in Byron.
Yeah, Mercedes Superdome.
All right, so they can only have like 6,000 people there. So no,
okay,
it won't be a factor. It'll be a spring game. Crowd noise wise, not even that because a spring game there's like 40,000 people there, so there'll barely be noise. That won't make a difference.
That's wild. Justin, where are you watching the game at?
Watching the game probably in my apartment. I got the brace on, so I can't move around too much.
Oh, I mean, because the group message is going to, that group message is about to be hot from 8 to 12.
I already know.
Yes, sir. I'm probably going to be the main one. You know how I get during Ohio State games.
Byron, you usually take it easy during the game because you start texting that group message, I think you're going to have a brain aneurysm. You be getting hot.
Bad. I can't help it, man. I try my best. I try.
Are the refs announced yet? Because that's a whole other issue.
What was the crew last year?
SEC.
SEC.
Oh.
Boy, I swear if I see the same 3 people this year, oh my God.
It won't be the same crew.
Thank you.
Well, it's probably going to be another SEC crew. It's down in New Orleans, so I would think they'll probably find a close group to do the game.
Dang, see, that already has 30 text messages from Byron in his brain ready. Because once a bad call happened, we're all going to be thinking, that fumble was the worst call I've seen in my life.
Bro, I still don't know how you know how you don't rule that as a fumble, man. I keep seeing it pop on my Twitter, and I keep watching it like, man, that's a fumble.
I don't know. But shoot, that's really all we got, man. Byron, Justin, what's the last words for this game? What's some words of encouragement? What's some things y'all gotta say?
First off, go Bucks. Destroy Clemson.
Hey.
Just, stick to your game plan. Don't give up those deep passes. Score in the red zone. No field goals. But if you have to field goal, make like last resort. But we got to score as often as we can because Clemson, they can score often as they can. Don't let Trevor Lawrence, beat Trevor Lawrence, and I think we can win.
Justin, any last words?
It's going to be a shootout, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't looked at the line, but I would probably take the over.
Okay.
Take Ohio State with the points.
Hey.
I'm hoping Ohio State can get the win outright. And when they do get the win outright, let's see what Dabo has to say at the press conference and after the games. Because this man, he's been running his mouth for fucking months now. So let's see what he's going to have to say after they lose the game.
Yeah. And my last thing to OSU fans, guys, we got to get this done. I mean, we're not the ones playing, the team's playing, but send prayers their way. Because I'm going to tell you right now, as of right now, we ain't going to be here next year. We're almost going to be in a rebuild. And obviously, we just reload, but there's a chance we won't be here. So we got to get this done now. We can't keep losing to the same team every 2 years. And if you lose on a field goal, on some bull, that's all right. The last thing we need is a 31-0 game. The last thing. That's culture death. So let's get it done. And shoot, that's really it. That's all we have for the Buckeye and Clemson preview, college football playoff preview on the L7C podcast. Thank you, Justin and Byron, for being on, talking some college football. And let's get it going. Again, game 8 p.m. New Year's Day, ESPN. You listen to the radio, 97.1 The Fan. And that's all we have. And go Bucks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.